actually, this is what I wanted to ask you about. I wanted to ask you about something because I was listening to the Chris Williamson podcast.
Yeah.
And he was talking about being you and then attracting the right people from being you, and how it's much better to be authentic and then allow the people that really like you to come through rather than try and please everybody else, sacrifice your true identity, and then get the fake praise that comes with your character that you're putting on, rather than being praised for being you, and then finding those genuine connections. Now, obviously, you and I connect on that way severely. Like it's just like our true characters.
A weird degree,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, of course. And I was thinking about it after a couple nights ago when we played ping pong, and I haven't been that mad in a long time, like competitively. But I also really I was thinking about it because especially after you said it's an opportunity to have a spiritual exercise. I was thinking about it. I was like, no, I think that if I wanted to not feel that way, that I could have, but I wanted to feel that way. And I think it's because when I suppress that feeling, because I've done it, like sophomore year of college, for example, I didn't allow myself to be that way on the soccer field. I didn't allow myself to be that way when I played video games, and I didn't rage. I didn't get mad ever. But then that drive to really fucking kill it, of course got suppressed. And of course you're not fueling the fire, and there's a fire there. And I was thinking, okay, just because there's a fire doesn't mean it has to be put out. And I think that decision's up to me. And I think it's because that's the way I genuinely feel. It's not like this is hard, I'd rather not do it. Because I can go down there and play ping pong with you and not feel that way. But I'm not going to try as hard. I'm going to lose way more often. And the outcome is not going to be the same for me. Now that is a choice of, okay, do I want the outcome, or do I want to be less angry when I lose? The peace will come after the situation's over. I need 10, 15 minutes and I'm okay. Do I want to sacrifice those emotions for a short period of time to win? And the answer for me is yes. But the answer for a lot of people is no. There's another factor of, okay, people aren't going to want to play with me. And that I considered as well. And I was like, okay, if I'm going to be so competitive when I play ping pong, should I still be this way? And my answer is, well, it depends. When I'm with you and Joe, I think you guys know my character well enough to know that this is how I choose to be in a certain state of mind, and I want to choose that. And then when you and I are chilling 99% of the time, I'm good. And you know that there's a different version of me that comes out then. And the answer is I'm okay with that, and making that decision of saying, okay, you know my character. You trust my intentions. I know that is unwavering. So with that said, then I'm comfortable being that way around you. Comfortable being that way around Alex. I'm comfortable being that way around certain people, and definitely in a enforced sports environment with referees and whatnot in a soccer game, because it's accepted. Now, my question to you is what do you think about that? What questions would you want to ask me? And how do you think that relates to the individuality that is obviously of utmost importance? Do you think that it's the same thing? Do you think it's a tangent? Do you think it's not the same?
No, I totally get the kind of scale of exchange there, and I get it, and I agree. The only thing that I think you might want to take into consideration is, because you could totally feel that way internally. And how do I sound, by the way? Do I sound okay?
You sound good.
Okay, good. Yeah, maybe I think it's just my own voice in the headphones sounds weird. Sounds like I'm in a really open room.
I think it's like that with some of that.
Okay. Yeah. I would say, you can choose to feel that internally, but I think the rage externally is where the issue comes in. Because if you're playing ping pong, for instance, right, and you are choosing to feel that way, choosing to feel kind of upset when you lose 8 straight times. No, when you're not winning, right, in any sport endeavor, if you have someone else's item in your hand, say a ping pong table or a golf club or something along those lines, and did not happen, but I'm saying if you smashed the ping pong paddle, if you threw the golf 100%. Club, and then also too, if you're becoming anger and you're becoming those emotions externally, right, and you're not necessarily aware of them, right, that to me is you're becoming unconscious in those states in time. Right. And I think when you condition your mind that way, oftentimes you may not think in that moment, yes, I'm choosing to feel that way, but when you lose in anything, possibly, not saying you, of course, you might, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to other areas, you might be more susceptible to identifying with your emotions in those moments in time.
Of course.
And so I think, obviously it's like you said before, you want to choose to feel this way, but I think you have to choose it in a conscious manner. And I think if you're choosing, because I felt this to a certain degree the same way, but I was definitely not taking it as seriously as you.
Yeah.
But I think if you choose to feel that way to a high degree and you take it very seriously, then you have to be aware of the feelings that you're feeling in that moment in time and then use it as fuel as opposed to kind of a state of rage where you take out your energy on, say, a ping pong paddle or someone else's belongings or something along those lines, right? Like it has to be geared towards a positive aim. And I think the more you want to get engulfed in the kind of game and the kind of endeavor that you're in, that's totally up to you. Just know it comes with consequences. And like for me, I'm not willing to take a game that seriously.
Right.
Because I don't like the state that it puts me in. I don't like that. And for me, that's something that I'm not willing to take on. And I think you can still take things very seriously without becoming so internally attached to them, if that makes sense, and still have a very great outcome, at least that I found in my life.
Yeah, see, that's where I feel like that's where the fundamental disagreement of just pure subjective experience comes in. Yeah. And that's like, for me, like I don't see it that way.
For you to see the best results possible, you wouldn't be able to be in my.
Yeah. Well, I know that because I've tried.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And I've tried it for a good experience, for a good period of time, and that was like when I really got like. That's when I started meditating. That's when I started reading The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle, and really dove into that experience of life. And really, Yvonne was a huge influence on me then. And it was like, it was very nice. I think that's where I'm going to be headed when I have children. I think when my life reaches a point where that should be the priority, that peace should be the state of mind. But there's a part of me that thoroughly wants to experience and enjoy the chaos. But I think being conscious of it and choosing when to experience the chaos and choosing to not be the chaos but just experience it is something that I need to put of utmost importance to remember, and that should be the priority over being competitive. And I think so long as that is the way it is, then it's okay.
I would agree.
I think the part that bothers me sometimes is knowing that I have to give you a fake smile. But again, I think it's a sacrifice. I inherently I know that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make, right? So like if you look at me after you beat me and like you make a joke, and now it's funny, right? And over time it's gonna get funnier and funnier because it's not as wound isn't as fresh. But if I'm willing to just give you a fake smile because that's what you can actually get, because you're not gonna get a real smile because that's not the way that I'm feeling, but that is what I'm expressing. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Like so long as the anger doesn't express its way, like the hatred of losing doesn't express itself in a way of like, no, Cal, fuck you, don't like
really causes that divide.
Laughing it off, essentially.
Yeah. Choosing to transfer that energy in a different way.
Exactly.
So do you feel like you need to have that in all kind of competitive aspects? Like
no. Like if I'm like a good example is when I'm playing against little kids. Like Gary Vee talks about it. He can't not smoke his 7-year-old in outdoor basketball. I don't think I'm going to be that way. I think I'm going to have that feeling of like, oh, you totally like want this. Like there's a part of me that's always going to want that. But I think I'm going to know what I want more. I'm going to decide that I'm going to want better things. Just because it's, for me, a better long-term strategy for me, for my family, for my children, for whoever, for the people around me. I'm sorry, what was the question?
So do you feel like you should have that same competitive, do you think you should choose to feel the negative emotions and the desire to compete in every single competitive scenario?
Definitely not. And I think...
Like right now?
What do you mean?
Like right now?
In my life?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
And again, I think it's the number one dependent is who am I competing with? What is the setting? And then asking the question and really answering the question of does it make sense right now? And when I'm playing for Vail and it's Summer League, the answer is yes.
Yeah, definitely.
And when I'm playing ping pong and it's with you and Joe, who I know aren't going to question my morality, I think yes. I think because it's something it's almost like a fun hobby for me within a hobby. It's like a secondary payout that I really enjoy. And like, if I can, indulge in that, I don't want to say indulge because I don't view it as indulging. I view it as experiencing. If I can experience that side of life willingly and have it be under conscious control to the best of my ability, and on the back end, people aren't getting hurt by it, or at least not more than absolutely necessary for the environment, then I think I should do it.
You think you should do it because
Because I enjoy it.
Because you enjoy it.
Because I genuinely enjoy it.
Deep down, you enjoy it.
Of course. Yeah. And it's not just me who enjoys it. It's me who's 80 years old enjoys it. It's me who's 35 with kids enjoys it. Yeah. And it's me inherently, in my soul, the person that wants to be expressed. And if that means that people are going to make fun of me when we're playing card games, and like they can tell I want to be competitive, but it's, whatever. Yeah. If that's the payout for me to express who wants to come out, then yeah, I'm willing to pay that price, of course. Gotcha. And that's as cliche as it sounds, it's the way I'm wired. Mm-hmm. I'm just that competitive in any sort of game. Like, it's just the feeling that comes up. Yep. Will I always act on it? No. Mm-hmm. But if I can and I want to, I will. Yep. That doesn't mean flip out and hurt people or whatever. Of course not.
No, it's controlled.
But if that's the person that wants to come out and be genuinely expressed, and it can be done in a healthy manner, then I think I would regret doing anything else.
How do you think I am in those, like, comparing you to where I am?
I haven't seen you in enough competitive environments. Okay. When we are competitive, I can see it for sure. Like when we play basketball, you gave me the saltiest handshake after, but you gave me a handshake. You gave me a handshake.
Yeah.
And that, I was like, this is a player.
Yeah.
This is a player.
Yeah. Okay.
You have to hate losing to be competitive.
Yeah.
Like it says a lot about your character if you're not. And it doesn't mean it's necessarily a bad thing. But if you're okay with losing, I think it says a lot about you. Steve said that. And I was like, wow, that makes a lot of sense.
Can you explain a little bit more on that?
Yeah. Again, we have to define losing. That's very important here. Because when I'm playing a card game against, a 6-year-old, and I'm letting him win, or playing basketball against a 6-year-old, and I'm letting him win, losing in that situation means something totally different. Because losing in that situation would mean, okay, well, to backtrack, what's your outcome? If your outcome going in is to win, then losing is losing. But if your outcome going in is to connect with this 6-year-old, losing doesn't mean winning. And winning doesn't mean losing. And so that's the sacrifice somebody who's as competitive as I am needs to make in those situations. Because you need to define what losing really is. What's losing for you now? What's losing for you in 10 years? What's losing for you on your deathbed? What are you going to look back on and say, I'm glad I played my cards this way? And so to me, it's like you have to pick and choose. And I like the way that you pick and choose. And it creates a significantly more likable person. It creates a person that gets invited to play more games. That's for sure. And I wish that the younger me had that way more on the other side of getting invited to play. Because it would have not only facilitated me to be a better player in any endeavor, but it would have facilitated a person who gets invited to play and doesn't have to deal with fake smiles from players and parents after the game after I cussed out their kid who was on my team. You know what I mean? I wish I had those experiences and the understanding to do that. But if you're mature enough to handle picking and choosing your battles, I think you should do that. And I think that answer is subjective on when, and I like the way that you approach it.
No, and I get that. So do you think in my opinion, do you think when you compare a person that has the goal in the competitive sphere, do you think the person that gets invited to play more has the outcome of solely winning and will do not anything, but like more means possible to win, as opposed to a person that, say, for instance, wants to be a part of the tribe?
Of course. So the way Jordan Peterson looks at this is he looks at life as the game metaphor. And the difference between winning a game and winning the series of games is the difference in having a good quality of life now or having a good quality of life forever. And so if you are the type of person that gets invited to play in every game, you are the person who wins long term because you get so many more games in. Yeah. If you're the type of person who, like, for example, if you have a team, your strategy to win one game and your strategy to win the league are going to be so different, because your strategy to win one game is going to be give the ball to your best player, let them get fucked up, let them get injured. We just need to win this one game. It's a big difference between that and saying, I want to win the Super Bowl. Two very different things, two very different strategies. You can't give your ball to the superstar every time. You have to develop the players around you because you need that long-term strategy. But the same thing applies for you and your younger self being socialized into that person who can be invited to play long term. So I do think, to answer your question, when you are properly socialized, that's fundamentally what it is. You get invited to play, and when you get invited to play more and more and more and more and more, then you win. Not at the game. It doesn't mean you're the best athlete. It means you're the best at life because you get invited to play.
Would life be defined as the Super Bowl in that sort of analogy?
No, life would be defined as...
Meaning like the bigger overarching goal.
Yeah, and that's defined by you, you know. How do you want? What do you want your relationships to look like? What do you want your family to look like? What do you want your personal life to look like? Your kids to look like? Those relationships, like that's winning. Is meeting those outcomes or coming as close to them as possible. Being on your deathbed without regret.
So do you think you've been able to? You definitely have. But do you think over time, from when you like initially started your kind of conscious competitive journey to now, do you think you've kind of developed? I mean, it's not like this or that, but do you think you started off in the more so competitive area where you didn't get invited to play as much, but now you get, because you kind of pulled back a little bit, that you get invited way more?
My sophomore year of high school or junior year of high school, I wanted to win JV captain so bad, and I told all the kids in the locker room when we were writing the names on the piece of paper, I told everyone to vote for me. I got 2 votes. And it was probably from Alex and somebody that I convinced to vote for me. Yeah. Neither of which were real votes. I got 0 votes. Literally. And even then, after that happening, my answer was, why wouldn't they vote for me? That doesn't make any sense. Instead of asking the question of, I wonder why they didn't vote for me. It wasn't because of them. It wasn't because of coach. It wasn't because of the position I played or my number on my back. It's because of me. And that was a fucking gut punch. Huge gut punch. And I still had no idea what it meant because I didn't allow myself to look at it for what it was. That's not getting invited to play. When kids make separate group chats to go play high school, to play at Highcrest, play basketball, and I'm not included in the group chat. And then I have to see like someone accidentally posting on their story, not realizing that I'm going to look at it. And then seeing that I wasn't invited to play.
Damn.
Yeah. Yeah. And people will give you so many opportunities to get better. When you are the person that when you are the type of person that people want to play with. Remember one time I was in like 6th or 7th grade and I was at the mall and my friend Agron, his parents came up to me. They're foreign parents. They are one of the nicest families I've ever talked to, ever. Like straight up, like no joke, the Wethersfield version of Joe. Like just the kindest family, give you their shirt off their back, always so nice to you, never like just good fucking people. And we were at the mall and we ran into them. And his parents, now at the time, just to give you some context, I was still a little shit. But if you were extremely kind to me, like you didn't have really any spark to you at all that would clap back, and probably for good reason, if you just literally would just, like a Joe Iacovelli to me, I would listen to you. But that was the extreme. I can only listen to the extreme because they would like deliver it so softly and nicely to me so that like my poor ego wouldn't get hurt. But they came up to me and they were like, you are so slow on the field. You don't run hard at all. Like you don't really try and you yell at the teammates all the time. And I just remember sitting there and I was so confused because I'd never really, at least to my recollection, had anybody so nice say something so critical to me. And those things didn't equate to me at the time because I had no idea that you could fucking take criticism from people who actually want the best for you. Like that ideology was never instilled within me. And I just remember sitting there so confused and upset and hurt. And then that next season's when I had one of the biggest growth curves to my game of all time. And I was in middle school, so, take it for what it's worth. But I got way better. I lost all that baby fat. I really started to try on the field. I became one of the kids that really wanted to work hard. And I wasn't the best in the field because I wasn't the best athlete, but I worked like one of the best. I showed up every time. It didn't require a lot. It's a micro example. I'm not fucking Messi or playing for any professional team. But that real criticism was one of the first times that I ever actually received real criticism. The problem is I wasn't the type of person that could hear it from everybody. You want to become the type of person that can hear it from the person that has bad intentions. You want to be the type of person who hates you the most and will just say things to throw shit your way, where you can look at them directly in the eyes and say, I'm just going to take that one or two things that you said because you wanted to hurt me. You were throwing stones at my house. But I'm going to look at them. I'm going to say, what can I take from this? That's the person you want to become. I am not there yet. I don't think so. I'm working towards that. But looking at somebody like you or somebody like Joe, that is the way you operate. Now, obviously, you're not fucking Jesus Christ, but you really live that example, which is something that I like. That's one of like the number one things I look at with you, like that I really admire, because like you do that in most situations, and I pick up on it, and I'm like, that is admirable. I want to be in that position, because oftentimes I won't hear it because I don't want to hear it because my ego can't handle it, and it's obviously a work in progress. But like when that's so long-winded to answer your question, but when you look at it from when you're socialized to get invited to play, you're socialized to hear the criticism. So not only do you play more games, but you get way better because you can hear the advice. You speak a different language that people who are too stubborn can't hear. Literally can't hear it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
And that goes for everything. Yeah. I think your mom did a good job with that with you. A really good job.
Yeah, this is like, I'd be like so fascinated. I just like, I'm trying to think of things to say. I'm just like, so much. It's like, no, yeah. So do you think since you weren't invited to play, that by nature kept you isolated and didn't allow you to hear the feedback from other people because you weren't included within their circle.
Yeah.
And so when you were on the soccer field and you heard that, really was the parents, right? Or the kid, when you heard the parents say that to you, that was almost one of the, because they were so nice to you, they always included you.
Yeah.
And so on that basis, that was one of the first times in your life that you actually heard genuine criticism from a circle that you were included in.
Yes.
And just like anything, the first time is you hear something, you do something, it's usually the hardest time.
Yeah.
So after that point in time, when you heard that kind of feedback, and obviously in the moment, it was like, what the fuck? Like, why would these people say this to me? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
When did you understand?
It was like that night.
It was that night.
I remember sitting there thinking about it because like I really thought about it. Yeah. So like it really hit me. Part of it probably was like I was getting older, so I could probably see things a little bit better. You know, like I was only 12 probably, but like,
oh wow, yeah, damn.
I was still like,
I was thinking high school.
Yeah, no, it was like elementary school.
That's right.
But I was just like, I had the wherewithal to like really think it through for the first time, at least the first time I can remember, and it couldn't make sense any other way. Like these people that I know, I would never question their intentions.
Yeah, exactly.
Ever.
Yeah.
Ever. Because I didn't have that with my parents. You know? Yeah. Like sometimes I would question their intentions. Like they have their fair share. But like this family was like just uber nice. And that might be to their own downfall. It probably is. But they were uber nice nonetheless. And it was only my ability to look at it for what it was to really understand that, okay, maybe I'm not perfect. Maybe that's okay. And maybe if I take the criticism, things will actually get better. And they did. And it still took another fucking 5 years for it to really, for me to really start doing something about it.
So when do you feel that in present day circumstances? Can you give a couple concrete examples of when you feel that feeling? Not to the same degree, obviously, but where it's hard for you to understand where someone is coming from when they offer maybe a piece of information to you that you in the moment are not aware of or truthful, or are not aware of or believe is truthful. But when they present it to you, you're like, oh, why would they? Like, it's that same kind of feeling of, it's like a misunderstanding. Like, but then obviously over time, since you're more aware of it and it's been more integrated into you, that you've been able to.
That's a good question. Do
you feel like it still affects you today?
Yeah, I feel like I might just not have an example.
No, that's good. That's good. Just curious.
But I definitely do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to think about it. It's a good thing.
Yeah, I know.
Probably means I'm
just
not
interesting because I never even knew this about you.
It also probably means I haven't been that conscious of it recently. That's probably also what it means if I can't remember a single example.
Because I remember you told me, like, sometimes, maybe this is transitioning into something else, but sometimes when, you told me this recently, when I try to come to you with an idea or try to come to you with sometimes, you'll interpret that based on, or you won't necessarily give me this necessary feedback based on the emotional state that you're in.
Yeah.
Do you think that has any relation to this, or do you think that's more so like another issue?
I think...
I feel like I know the answer, but...
I think it's another issue.
Yeah, another issue. That's what I thought, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because if I had...
I can see how it can connect, but...
Yeah. There's so many factors to narrow on one thing, but to give you an example, if I had the level of energy and enthusiasm that I had my freshman year of college, you would always get that response, like way more often. Like maybe you would go from 50% of the time to like 90% of the time, just because life was so different. I think it's probably because of other factors that I'm not thinking of, but simply put it, yeah.
Gotcha.
But what did you lead off with there?
Like how you when I bring like ideas to you, and sometimes you.
Yeah, and you're saying how it's how it's related. Yeah.
I was just curious.
Yeah, no, I'm very curious too. Like it's
just interesting because I have noticed that since you've said stuff like, but it's like I don't if you don't act on it, it's just like give me a second.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's the one thing I've learned to do, which is the bare minimum. But I've learned to like just know that to not respond when I'm mad, to not respond when I'm feeling upset.
It's a great quality. I think I need to work on that.
Yeah. Right, and also not to respond when I'm too happy. Yes. That's huge.
Yeah.
Yes. Wow. Because it's like you want to respond at peace. That's when you want to respond to anything. Yeah. 100%. Because like when you're too happy, you're too optimistic, and it can get you burned. And when you're really angry, you're way too angry. You're gonna get burned. You gotta like just let it go. Yeah. That's why it's so helpful for me to just like not talk to anyone after I lose. Just need like 20 minutes. Just give me 20. That's all I need. 100%. Not worth it.
Yeah, it's not.
Such a good rule of thumb.
Yeah.
Like give something 20 minutes before you respond. It would change so many lives if you just stopped responding to something right away. If you gave yourself 20 minutes to calm down, to not be so mad or so happy.
I want to be a keyboard warrior.
Yeah, exactly. I saw this. I know nothing about it. Let me just get fucking triggered.
Bro, what are you talking about? No one's like that.
Nah, no one's. Damn. How do you think you deal with that kind of stuff? With like, what do you think your vices are with that?
Can you just define that real quick? I know what we're talking about, but I want to know what you specifically are referring to.
How does it affect your life with your responses? Like, what do you notice is your, like, how do you have an example? Because I'm just curious. Because like, I can't really think of anything for you. The only thing that consciously comes to my mind is like, you've gotten way better with it.
Yeah.
But like with like buying certain things for the business and then realizing like a week later, like, oh, it's probably okay.
Yeah,
we're probably okay.
I get caught up
but like that's not.
No, of course.
Fine.
Yeah, no.
It's also because. Side note, it's also because I've been instilled the opposite within me. Yeah, so I'm probably too extreme on the other end. Yeah, but I just happen to be more helpful for the business now. Now, when it's time to grow, you know what I mean. So like,
I think it's a misunderstanding of what is going to get us to that next point. Like I think sometimes I get caught up in the flash of things.
Yeah.
And like like I was looking at, for instance, today a C70 full out camera rig, and like the guy had like a shoulder mount and had like a V-mount battery and like a monitor that went off to the side. I'm like, oh my, bro, we gotta buy these.
I promise you we need it now.
And I'm looking at the parts. It's like, just for the shoulder pad alone, it's like $1,200. And I'm like, dude. And then I was like, it was like, you know how camera, like DPs or whatever like that, when they're doing shoots, they have like they're full on camera, and then they have like the back strap that goes over.
Yeah, it hangs.
I am like,
weddings would be so clutch with this. Let's lose money on weddings.
And, like, and then the Jason kicks in. Is like, how would we use this for sports? Like, if we're not filming an interview or we're not filming like a standstill shot where we're not zooming, like this is completely useless. It's only going to do more harm.
Yeah.
And that definitely kicks in. And I totally get that when it comes to...
Again, I'm also wrong at times, too.
No, I know, but it's like, it's a good balance. Like, that's how we balance each other out so well. But I think in terms of feeling a part of the tribe and being, like, in terms of, like, more, I don't want to say, like, a competitive aspect, but I think, like, just taking that whole, like, people-pleasing side of things and not... And not on the opposite side of the spectrum of telling people in that moment, whether it's truthful or not, how you genuinely think and being like, I don't give a fuck what they think. I don't care what their reaction is. I'm fine with the divide. Me, I'm not okay with that divide. I need everything. Not like currently. Now I've gotten a lot better at it, like you said. But I always feel like I need to be a part of the group. And I think at times, what was I thinking about? I think I was thinking about it today. I think, so this is more so. I think at times it can lead me to not be as much of a critical thinker as I could be.
Yeah.
In terms of, I think when someone, unless I genuinely think something out, say for instance veganism, like I don't care who I'm in the room with, like I know they're not going to change my mind on it, right? Like, it's not to say I'm like I've just reached a certain conclusion, and unless I hear different evidence, like I know it's truth and I know it's not. Like of course, based on the research that I've done, and of course there's other information out there. And I'm not saying that at all, but unless it's something that I've really thought out and really integrated with who I am, if it's like a concrete kind of issue, the most I find, based on my people-pleasing tendencies, I will go with the most recent opinion that I've heard and just kind of stick at that position and address the situation based on that. And in order to stay on, and this is not to say that like if someone tells me certain information that I'm going to fully act on that, but that's going to be the main lens through which I see the situation in.
Yeah.
And that...
I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm just curious. Do you think that it's like a skill that you develop over time from just repetition of like people pleasing? Because it is a skill, and it's like it helps you a lot and it hurts you a lot. But like, do you think how? Because it's so foreign to me. Because I'm like the opposite. It's in the genes.
It is definitely something you can develop over time in terms of like developing a people-pleasing skill, right? That's what you're talking about?
Well, see, or more people-pleasing skill, I feel like...
Or more so like balancing it out.
I feel like those words don't go in the same sentence of like people-pleasing skill, because like people-pleasing isn't really... It's like it's not like
I think,
good for you.
A trait,
but like
trait.
Being kind is good, you know what I mean? But like being people-pleasing, is it? I don't...
Yeah, no, I get you.
I'm also looking at the semantics too deeply probably, but
no,
like...
I get what you're saying though. I think that distinction needs
I think
to
I'm
be
just curious on how it develops, or do you think it's just like... I mean, it would just make sense probably just from the way you were raised and your personality, like or do you think there's like some experiences that you're like, fuck, I got left out this one time?
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, my freaking childhood is so vague in my mind. Like, I wish I could. There are examples that I can refer back to, like in the past, but there's nothing that I can think of like now that, for instance, like when you didn't get voted to be your junior JV captain, that that is what flips.
A switch.
Yes. I don't know why that phrase is so hard
it's
to
so
say. Hard. That flips that switch in your mind, and like you like, oh, it was from that moment moving forward. I mean, it like based on conditioning, based on how I was raised, based on all these things, and that's just kind of how I've always been, and especially with females. Like I think that, I mean, if you need a master friend zoner, I'm your guy, just because I've just done it so many times, and like get it. I know how to, dude. I know how to get in the friend zone.
If you guys need advice.
If you guys need advice on how to get in the friend zone, right?
You got your guy.
I'm your guy, right? And it's like, but you've tremendously helped me break out of that. And it's like, I mean, like looking back on it, it was a fucking art. Like it really was. Like I was willing to wait it out for months. And just on the idea that if I never, for instance, make the girl aware of my intention that I really want to be with them, and I lie straight to their face, that somehow I will get in a relationship with them.
Yeah.
And the reason why that worked is because that's how it worked the first time. And that was my guiding philosophy until I met you. And that's how I was in high school. That's how I was throughout all these.
That makes sense. So you think your first success story is kind of what really influenced the rest of it?
Well, yeah. Look,
So, like,
I only realized that recently.
If this is what I have to do to succeed, let me follow the blueprint.
When in reality, was my blueprint. That was my blueprint.
Do you think if you didn't, let's say you did that, you failed, and then tried actually being upfront, that you would just continue to be upfront?
It would be the same thing like me figuring out what I want to do after college. If I didn't meet you, I would be, who knows where I would have been. Probably would have still been doing videography, right? Probably would have still trying to pursue relationships, but my ability to find out what I really wanted to do, to find out how to actually get in a relationship, to figure out the actual blueprint to do those kind of things in an ethical and authentic and ways would have taken way longer. And I think, very interestingly, that's when that same kind of critical thinking ability really lacks in me, because I will fall back on the blueprint that I've already developed and not stray away from it based on my own kind of preferences and desires and what I think is comfortable. Because I want to stay on that, let's just say it's a plank of like that kind of path. I do not want to step off that path at all unless I feel like it's the most uncomfortable thing I can do. Right. So I remember the first girl that I was with, I didn't tell her I liked her and I wanted to be with her until bro, it was like after we hung out and like for the first couple of times and like obviously I liked her and then I just told her, you know what I mean? And it's like I had to get that. I was still like,
you had to get that close.
I had to get that close with that girl to even tell her.
So do you think it's a matter of something deeper of, even if it's girls or not, that you need to gather so much information before being okay, being vulnerable?
Yes.
Like,
like not now, but like prior.
It's a lack of courage to do the leap of faith.
Yes. Like it's.
And do you think that stems from fear of rejection?
I think fear of rejection partially, but I think it's what makes more sense in my mind and resonates harder is us feeling separated. And I guess that could be that when I say separated, I mean like them not being okay with me, them wanting to not be in the same room as me, because there's nothing more that I don't like. And there's nothing more that throws me off an emotional track and throws me into that kind of mental state where I'm focused on them the entire time.
Do you think that's why you overthink texts and stuff like that?
What?
Oh, no, dude. No. You're an overthinker.
I'm like, it's crazy, though, like, because I really, really am. Yeah. I read into I overread into things. And that plays to my benefit, but it also plays to my downfall. Like, I'm very observant.
You'll catch all of it. But you'll catch things that don't exist.
There was times in high school where I mean, obviously you know the fucking hierarchy and things like that at least it's all intellectual. I would be able to tell. I would always focus on the popular group. I would always focus on what they were doing and try to be like them. And I remember I would have that same type of half-baked intentions with all the popular girls, right? Because I thought they were extremely attractive, and I wanted.
Well, see, I think those are two different things.
Okay. Let me finish this. Right, real quick. No, and I agree. Like, I don't know.
Just continue.
We'll get into that in a second. Okay. But what I would do is I would be able to, let's just say there was like a popular couple, right? I would always be fixated on them and observe their actions and like nonverbal movements, and I could tell when something was off. And what do you know? Within a couple days, they would be broken up. I would always know when something's off, and that would in my mind be like, oh my god, there's an opportunity to be with them. You know what I mean? But that's how my brain operates. I'm not saying that was right. I'm not saying that's good.
The old swoop-in method.
Yes, if you really want to live a happy and great life.
The old have sex with your therapist move.
Yeah. I have no experience in that. What? No.
Oh, you just broke up. I'm so sorry. You need someone to talk to?
Sorry. But yeah, I was just so observant of those things. And I think I was just like uber cared about what everyone else is doing. And that left me in a spot of always just never paying attention to myself and being who I am and doing what I wanted, right? And the whole story falls from there.
Yeah. Interesting. So you think your desire, because to me, I think like it's very relatable for most people to be like, hey, I want to be like the popular kids, because typically the popular kids are the ones that are the most well socialized. sometimes it's the bully, but I think it's too cliche to say that because I think a lot of kids that are more popular are kids that you will notice if you have to take a EQ test are more socialized than the rest. Typically, that's how it goes. So I think it's a good thing to want to fit in with the popular group because the popular group is the most socialized. And in order to succeed in life and win at being happy, you need to be well socialized. So idolizing those people to some degree is good for you, I think, because your job as a teenager and as a young individual is to fit in, and for good reason. But then how do you think that translates with the women, or do you think it's kind of just a little overlap in the philosophy rather than actually the same reason?
Okay, so you're talking. Well, I think it was the culmination of, like you said before, like I think it was the desire, I think it was the attention, the significance, and then also just flat out, like they're super attractive.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to be a part of that.
Yeah.
And like back, I mean, everyone does, right?
Like it's back so in high school, normal,
of course. And
so
like,
normal.
but I think just relating it to me and just my habits and my tendencies, like I'm way different now. Like, it's to an insane degree. It's like, I mean, I'm just like a completely different person than that person. But like, obviously, there's old traces of that. So I overread into things. I overthink things, and I've definitely gotten a lot better at it since I met you. So thank you very much. But I think definitely just wanting to be a part of that group, in addition to trying to maneuver my way in to, say, a relationship or be with them in a way that getting closer to them without them knowing why I'm trying to get closer to them was my biggest downfall. Yeah. And it got me in the friend zone many times, but ultimately at the end of the day, it also conditioned my mind to still have these same habits for a really long time.
Right. I mean, but I feel like it's almost deeper than that, because I feel like even when I'm in the friend zone, the girls always know. At least with me, they always know I want more.
Angle,
no, but I'm saying the girls always know that I want something more. Do you think the girls know that you want something more?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, they're not stupid. Like, of course they're not. Like, we talk about it all the time. They're very smart. Like, I mean, especially if you're an attractive female. Like, if you're an attractive female. Like, just look at the guys in your DMs. You know what I mean? Like, or something along those lines. Look at the guys talking to you.
There's evidence.
It's just how you are.
Yes.
It's just like you're very attractive, right? Yes. And men want to be with you. I'm sorry, but that's the truth, right? And it's like, of course, you just ask yourself the question. I think from a guy's perspective, like, would you hang out with this girl if she wasn't attractive?
Right.
Would you talk to her if she wasn't attractive? Would you eat the apple, right? Like, when you're not genuinely want to eat the apple, probably not.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think
that's such good advice. God, that's such good advice. You're so right. You are so right. Would you hang out with her if she wasn't attractive?
But I think if you can answer that question, would you eat the apple?
Yeah.
Would you hang out with her if she wasn't would you hang out with her if attractiveness aside? Probably.
If there was some sort of wave of the wand that said, you will never, tell the future, you will never touch this woman, you will never kiss her, you'll never have sex with her, she will never be interested in you. If you can know that 100% fact of the future, would you fucking hang out with her?
No.
Nope. She wouldn't be. Tell you what.
I'll tell you what, Daddy.
I'm a head out. And when you head out, are you even going to be nice to her if you know? Because sometimes when you head out saying, I'm friend zoned, you're still nice, but the only reason you're nice is because you think maybe there's a chance in the far future.
That's it. I always think there's a chance.
Bye for now.
I always think there's a chance. Always.
So you're telling me there's a chance. Since the future is not guaranteed, there's always a chance.
Come on now, half-baked for the rest of my life.
Telling me there's a chance.
Yeah, dude. Man. I think that possibility really just.
It's so bad.
Dude. I'm like every interaction. And I fall into that trap. I fall into that unconscious trap.
You know, I do that too, though. Well, I did that too, but I feel like I just did it at scale. Like, I did it with a lot of girls, but with a lot of girls, but much less. My ratio is probably less, but it's also, I was just talking to so many girls that, like, of course I'm going to succeed. If you fucking shoot enough half-court shots, one's going to go in.
So good.
I don't care if you fucking are grannying it up, bro.
It's eventually gonna go in.
One's gonna go in, and then you're gonna be like, well, if I throw it this way, and more will go in. Dude, so.
I mean, you were just, I think the difference is you did it with more women, and then you were, you were at like such a more accelerated pace than I was in just all areas.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
when I say that, like, no, I don't say that to like throw shade or
anything
like that. I know. But like, I would be willing to stick it out with one girl for such a long time, and it's like, I mean, I've only like done that whole half-baked intention thing, like, and I'm not saying you've done that like a ton, but like, I've just, since I feel like, do you feel like have you done the half-baked intention thing? Like, do you think you've?
Yeah, bro, with Mackenzie.
Okay.
Literally with Mackenzie, bro.
Okay.
Went to the bro. I changed my gym schedule so I'd be at Planet with her after school every year, every day.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Okay.
We don't talk about it now, but like occasionally it'll come up like Snapchats from like 6 years ago today of me and her at the gym, and I'm just so down bad,
Yeah.
And I had no chance. No chance.
Yeah,
I did that for a fucking year.
Okay. Yeah,
bro.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So
Fuck no. Bro.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Like, when you say a month, I'm like, you have no idea.
Yeah.
Brother. Your boy played the patient game.
Yeah. It's fair, man.
The problem is she wasn't the only girl I was talking to. So I was much less, like, I can't imagine how it'd be if I was like, she's it, and I'm going to wait on her like I'm fucking waiting for my Prince Charming to come home. Like, I can't imagine what I would have done. Like, I was distracted with other things.
You almost like idealize so much too. Like, they're the one.
Yeah.
And then, because remember last year when I found out, a certain person had a boyfriend.
Yes.
And I was just, you remember that day?
Yeah.
It was the same day we went to go see Joe.
Yeah.
And
I was like,
you went to the without
I'll tell you every detail.
Well, like, you were like, when we found out, I remember both of us, we were just crushed. Like, I mean, so I was actually fine, but like, I was like, damn. It was also dependent on the person. Like, I mean, they just kept it so private. I was like, we move right now anytime. Like, I was trying. I mean, I was, but I wasn't.
Yeah, were you gonna say something about it?
You gonna say something? We get full fucking shotgun.
I'd sit here like a half-baked cake.
Which the sad part is, I would have.
Yeah.
If I didn't find out, but yeah, I mean, do you feel like once you find out, like, once you found, like, with the other person, that
Mackenzie.
Mackenzie, you don't care.
I don't care.
Oh, okay. Once you found out that, like, there was no chance, did you still?
I started to kick rocks. I left. I was done with the situation.
Yeah.
Once the certainty of it really hit in, I was like, all right, I'm gonna head out.
I'm going back to the morning schedule.
Yeah, but a big part of it was just ego too. Like, fuck her. Like, I'm leaving. Like, whatever.
That's awesome.
She must have been so distraught by my absence.
She don't give a fuck, man.
She would have totally fell for me the next week. I knew it was bound to come at some
so
point.
good. That's so good.
Yeah, no, that
man.
didn't happen. So,
damn. Oh,
yeah.
that's so good. Oh, that's so good.
yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Answering that question feels like a tangent, like somewhat related to guys saying that I'm a piece of shit for fucking so many women when they couldn't do that. Like, it feels similar of like me saying, oh yeah, I just left Mackenzie because I realized it was time to go. I'm like, probably a lot of it was my ego saying, fuck that bitch.
Yeah.
Not necessarily my strength and wisdom to know when to walk away. So, like, don't take it as that. It probably was a lot of luck and ego of, like, myself wanting to distance myself, and then it actually just turning out to be the right move. If you can't read the scale, you don't know what you're doing. You might just get lucky and make the right decision that is wise for you, but not know why. I think that's kind of what happened. Which is why I love the way you approach it. I fucking love the way you approach the situation of, like, the whole women thing, because, like, I appreciate the way you go about it, because some guys who could never bag women are like, bro, you're tainting your mind. Like, you shouldn't. It's so bad for you. And I'm like, dude, like, it's not like you could, bro. So like, you taking this kind of has a little bit of malintent involved. Sometimes it happens. So I'm like, bro, I'm not gonna listen to you, but I'll listen to you. Yeah. I will listen to you.
Appreciate that. Yeah, man, you've definitely helped me a lot with it. So, which, I mean, like,
and you helped me for sure. Let me tell you, Buster.
What are you talking about?
Bro, one or two. Interesting it is.
I'll try it out.
Give it a go, Buster.
You were going for that 500.
You were opening the gates of hell.
499 to go.
Crikey.
Yeah.
Fire.
Wow. Hell of an episode.
Solid episode. There it is.
Nice.
Fuego. That was great.
Pleasure doing business.
Pleasure. That was a great conversation.
Yeah, no, dude, that was great.
I love
it.
That
was solid. No.
I did, and I learned a lot about you. Like that I didn't think about. So.
Yeah.
But like
vice versa, bro. Like I didn't even know about.
Yeah. I haven't thought about those situations in a while, but yeah.